So let's talk about Iron Fist. Iron Fist is the fourth and final individual character series in the Netflix Marvel Defenders universe. We had a couple of seasons of Daredevil, which I really loved. Then you had a season of Jessica Jones, which I found to be interesting. And then most recently you had Luke Cage, which I felt started off really strong and then kind of fell victim to lazy storytelling and cliches. So and overall I ended up being very disappointed. Now after Daredevil, Iron Fist was the character series I was looking forward to the most out of this Defenders universe. Probably because as a young child I was a martial artist, and Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, is also a martial artist, so I could relate to his character, and it's kind of cool to watch some kung fu master in the comic book. So I was really looking forward to this series. So now I'm 4 episodes in, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you on what I thought about the first 4 eps, and I'll be doing a video for every 4 eps going forward. So there will be some spoilers in this video, so just be aware of that. If you haven't seen these 4 episodes yet, you may want to watch those first and then come back and watch this video, or if you don't care, then just go ahead and continue to watch. So 4 episodes in, Danny Rand has come back from a 15-year absence. When he was a child, he was on a plane with his 2 parents, and the plane crashed, so his whole family was believed to be dead at that time. Now Danny's father was the head of Rand Industries, and his partner was Harold Meacham. So now in present time, Harold's 2 kids, Joy and Ward Meacham, have taken over the company. Now Danny Rand returns to the United States, and he has to convince everyone that he is who he really is. And that's basically the premise of the first 4 episodes, where people are trying to figure out if that really is Danny Rand or not. And so that's kind of where we are at this point. Now first I want to talk about the actors and their performances of the main characters. Of course we gotta start with Finn Jones as Danny Rand / Iron Fist. Now there was a lot of controversy regarding his casting, and I do want to talk about that a little later. There was a whole racial element to the show as well, so let's put a pin in that, put it on the side, and discuss that a little later in the video. But as for Finn Jones, I feel that his performance so far has been adequate. I mean, we've all seen his character before, where a white man travels to the Far East, learns the mystical ways of the Oriental culture, and comes back and wants to live that culture in his natural habitat. And so there's nothing really quite new there, but I feel like it's been done in the past and it's been done better. One example could be Timac in The Last Dragon, where you had a black man who embraces the Asian culture, and you know, he kind of spews off these fortune cookie type expressions, but I felt like it was more believable when he did it. It's more convincing, so I don't quite feel Finn Jones is there yet. He comes in with this, you know, Justin Timberlake in-sync haircut, so I kind of find that a little ridiculous. So but so far he's probably one of the weaker actors in the show. Now one of the more interesting characters is probably Ward Meacham, who is now running Rand Industries with his sister Joy. Now Ward is a very interesting character, and one that I'm finding to be more interesting as the season goes along. At first I thought he was kind of like Fredo Corleone from The Godfather, you know, that disrespected family member who just never got his respect. And but you'll see that over the episodes he has a little bit of that tendency, but there's also more depth to him than I first realized. You find that he's actually a puppet for his father, Harold Meacham, who is still alive. So that adds a whole layer of depth to his character, which I really liked, and I'm interested to see where that goes. As for his sister Joy, she's probably just more of a plot device at this point. She had a hand in helping Danny come back to Rand Industries, but other than that, there's not really much to her character yet. I'm hoping that they can expand on her character in the future. There may be a romantic element with her and Danny, as they were friends as they're young kids, so there could be a budding romantic relationship there. Hasn't been really explored yet, but there's a potential for that. But again, that romantic relationship could be jeopardized by Colleen Wing. Now Colleen Wing is played by an Asian American actress, and is probably the most interesting character so far. She is the master of a martial arts dojo who is struggling to make ends meet and being able to pay rent from month to month. She enters these underground fight clubs to make money. At the same time, she crosses paths with Danny Rand, who seeks out her help and also can help her financially as well to help her dojo keep afloat. So she's probably one of the more interesting characters. I find the actress's portrayal of her to be very good, and probably the scene stealer so far in the show. Now as for the action sequences in the show so far, they've been very tame. For a person who's supposed to be a kung fu master, they haven't really showed the extent of his abilities so far, and I'm hoping that they just kind of getting the audience warmed up where they can show more elaborate fight sequences down the line. So for the first 3 episodes, I was a little disappointed in the action, where I mean you could kind of see that the direction was done well. It just wasn't too complicated, too complex, very generic. But in episode 4, there was a much better fight shown between Danny Rand and some triads, which I thought was the best fight by far in the series. So there is some potential there. Finn Jones again is adequate as a martial artist so far. I'm hoping again that they're saving his best for last, or best for later at least, and that they can really let him go and show the Iron Fist's true abilities, because he is supposed to be this, you know, high-powered kung fu master. Colin Wing also, her fight scenes, they're done well, but they could be done better. They're not really taking any chances so far. So I'm kind of looking to see them explore that area a bit more, make the fights more complex, more impressive. So as far as the fight scenes go so far, I'll probably give them a C+ around there, but I think there is potential for them to get better as the story progresses, so let's hope that comes true. But as for the story itself, so far I'm interested. I mean, the critics have been bashing this series so far, and so my expectations for the series were very low going in, but 4 episodes in, hey, I'm hooked, I'm interested. I like the whole story of Danny trying to find himself and his identity and reposition himself into society in his natural world, and the struggles to do that. I like the fact that the Hand is back in the show. You got Madame Gao back in the show, which are characters and villains that are probably one of the most interesting in the Defenders universe so far. So I want to see more of that, where Danny battles the Hand. And the fact that the Hand is involved and they're reintroducing the reincarnation element to the storyline, I feel like there's potential for Iron Fist to face off against Elektra in the future, which would be kind of cool and help bring this whole Defenders universe together with Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. But that's just me as a fanboy hoping. We'll see where this goes. I haven't seen the last 12 episodes yet, so I don't know what's going to happen, but that's kind of what I'm hoping to happen later on, and we'll see if that comes true. So overall, the series has this 90s B-movie straight-to-video vibe to it, which personally I don't think is all that bad. I mean, I love those kind of movies growing up. You know, I love to watch King of the Kickboxers and any Don the Dragon Wilson films and those kind of movies, so it kind of has a little bit of that feel to it. So where people might be expecting more from Marvel, personally it's kind of nostalgic for me to see a series with that kind of tone. So far I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that the action scenes get better as the series goes along. And one of the other things I really like about the show are the opening credits. By far the best opening credits for any Netflix series so far. I love it and I watch it. I don't have to watch it every episode, but I do just because I like it that much. And also like the episode titles are also really cool too. I mean, there's a lot of these Asian kind of mystical cultural things thrown in, but you know, when you look at the titles, they actually are reminiscent of old Shaw Brothers films. For example, there was one episode title that had the words 8 Diagram in them, which is obviously a callback to the classic Shaw Brothers film 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. So I like that aspect to the series as well. Now there is this whole racial element to the show that people have been just harping on, and you know, let's see if there's any validity to it. So first of all, people were all upset about the casting of Finn Jones as Iron Fist. Now, I can kind of see both sides of the story, and so here's my take on it. First of all, Iron Fist in the comic books, he's a white guy. So they are staying true to the character as he was written back in the 70s. Have we seen this kind of character before? Yes, of course we have. We've seen lots of stories where a white man learns a different culture and then embraces that culture and then lives that culture and then comes back to share that culture with his natural habitat. So it's nothing new there, and that's where the argument comes in that Netflix could have cast an Asian actor to play Iron Fist. Now, would that have been cool? Fuck yeah, of course. I always want to see more Asians on TV and film. But again, would Iron Fist have been the best time to do that? Maybe not. I mean, we've all seen Asian actors play martial artists. So would it really have been that groundbreaking to cast an Asian American actor in this role? No, not so much. Again, it would have been great to have that, but does it deserve to be bashed for that choice? I don't really think so. I mean, like, again, the character in the comic books is white, and it wouldn't have been that groundbreaking to cast an Asian American actor in this role. So I don't really feel that upset about it, if I'm upset at all. I think that it's a choice that Netflix and Marvel made, and is it a bad choice? Is it a good choice? I'm pretty neutral on it. I'm fine with it. Could they have cast a better actor than Finn Jones? Yeah, maybe. So there's a room for improvement there. But casting an Asian actor to play Iron Fist, I really don't feel it would have been that groundbreaking and that necessary to say. So I'm okay with who they cast. Now, I've also seen a couple of online articles where people are just going batshit crazy about this one scene in episode 1 where Danny Rand speaks to Colleen Wing in Mandarin. Now, the scene setup is where Danny meets Colleen for the first time, and after finding out that her last name is Wing, tries to speak to her in Mandarin. And people are losing their shit. For what reason? I have no idea why. I mean, I kind of understand with the long history of privileged white men trying to satisfy their exotic Asian fetish by picking up Asian women, trying to act like they know the language and assuming that they're Chinese, Japanese, Korean, etc., whatever. But I really don't feel that's the case in this particular scene. I mean, Danny is a fish out of water at this point. He comes back to New York City, he has no friends, he's just trying to establish an identity for himself. He's trying to make friends basically, and he sees someone and he's trying to make this personal one-on-one bond with her, and I really don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I've experienced it in my own personal life, and I've done exactly what Danny Rand did. For one example, I met someone who was from Brazil, and trying to establish a bond with that person, I started to talk about soccer because I love soccer. Brazilians love soccer. Is it a stereotype? Maybe, but I was just trying to establish a personal connection with this particular person. I've also had it happen to me where people find out that I'm Korean, so they try to speak to me in a little Korean, you know, hey, I know a little Korean, yeah, da, 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 da. Was I offended? Never. I mean, I appreciated their effort to try to connect with me and make friends with me. Did I reciprocate every single time and welcome their attempt? Not really, but was I upset about it? No, it just depended on my mood at that particular time. I never felt like they were trying to just show off to me or anything like that. I really felt like they were just trying to make a personal connection. So that's what I feel went down in this scene, and there's absolutely no reason to make this assumption about Danny and Colleen. I mean, honestly, 4 episodes in, Danny has expressed no romantic leanings toward Colleen at this point, so why are we assuming that he is doing this to try to hook up with her? Which is why most people are upset about it, because he is just doing that same thing where white men just try to hook up with Asian women. And again, I really feel that that's not the case here. So in this particular instance, let's just try not to generalize the whole situation and focus on the actual characters in this scene and figure out why they're doing what they're doing. And in my opinion, it's perfectly fine. It's just an attempt from one person trying to connect with another using a potential common bond. So I am not upset about it whatsoever, and I really feel like it's been blown way out of proportion. So after 4 episodes of Iron Fist, I say fuck other critics. I don't know what's going on with other early reviewers, where they're all jumping on some kind of a bandwagon or playing social justice warrior about this whole race thing. I personally don't get it. I'm an Asian American. I'm not offended at all watching the show. But again, after 4 episodes, so we'll see where this goes. But so far so good, man. I mean, the story is interesting. I like the actors for the most part. The action scenes are adequate. I'm hoping they get more complex as the story goes along, and we can see a little bit more of the actual Iron Fist. But yeah, I'm sold so far. I will be doing another review video after I watch episodes 5 through 8. So please come back to my channel for that video, and thank you so much for watching this one.